All right. Let's get this show on the road. Another day, another Doug. Episode 35, Smells Like Wrasslin podcast on the Smells Like Wrasslin network. Another episode of Dynamite in the books. And we got some stuff to talk about. I was trying to see if I had it in me for another rant 3 weeks in a row. I kind of do. I always have something to be upset about. I'm a very excitable person. And, apparently, people get a great kicker when I'm pissed off. That's why all my friends are assholes! So, but we're gonna kick, yeah, you're goddamn right, Doom. I do smell like wrestling. We're going to kick tonight's show off with a couple of pieces of news and some WWE news. Obviously, the big news coming out of the weekend was the return of Bray Wyatt. After weeks of speculation and QR codes and fucking bunny rabbits walking around and all this shit, finally, Bray Wyatt comes out. And the crowd goes wild. So we all expect, hey, the Monday after a pay-per-view, Monday Night Raw, the A Show. We're gonna see Bray Wyatt. I mean, it was the season premiere of Raw. It's in Brooklyn, a hometown crowd. And what we got was a recap. A video goddamn recap. I don't understand why not? Why not put Bray on Raw? I mean, I'm not talking about making him the roster, because the rosters don't mean shit anyway, so I don't want to hear about the brand split or any of this bullshit, because it doesn't matter, all right? You got everybody on every show. So you go in a big, hot New York market, and you just no-show Bray? I mean, yeah, they gave us Brock, but for what? So you could have, I guess it's just to hype up a show, a match for the Saudi show between Lesnar and Lashley. Because, the Saudis want their Lesnar. But whatever, man. Hey, why care about the hometown New York crowd, hot crowd, wrestling town, big market, a 3-hour show. It's not like they couldn't have fit the time for Bray, but whatever. So they gave us a tease for SmackDown just to draw that shit out. Raw ended up getting a pretty decent rating anyways. I think they got like a 1.8. They usually average around like a 1.7. So they got a little bit of a post-pay-per-view bump. Also, might have been the nostalgia act because they had DX on the show, which, I mean, honestly, whatever. But yeah, the Extreme Rules show, that women's, that match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, that was fucking dog shit. That was one god-awful fucking match. The bat shots that they took in that match were fucking disgraceful. That's like, remember back in like the first year of AEW, remember when the Dark Order, when they were trying to debut them as a major heel, whatever, and they had like one of these schmucks out there just throwing the worst work punches of all time. That match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, that was right fucking up there, people. That was right fucking up there. They finally got the belt off of Liv, who was an awful champion. She shouldn't even be a professional wrestler. She's not good on the mic. She's not good in the ring. Her character is a dime a dozen. It's literally just what Alexa Bliss is now, but without the fucking doll. Just get rid of her. And now they gave the belt to Ronda, who pretty much no one cares about anymore. The women's belt is useless. I mean, pretty much these divisions are nothing without Becky Lynch and Charlotte. I'm sorry. Bayley, I mean, Damage Control has been awful for her. Awful. And she's just not as great of a wrestler as I think that everyone thinks she is. In my opinion, I think she's grossly overrated. They already have someone with a dumb chuckle fuck laughing gimmick with Seth Rollins. So I just don't see the appeal. The stuff with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline is by far the best thing going in professional wrestling right now. I don't know who's going to end up taking that belt from Roman. I don't think it's going to be Sami Zayn. I hear people online saying, oh, it's going to be Sami taking the belt. Why the fuck would Sami take the belt? Sami should go cause dissension within the Bloodline. When Cody comes back, Cody should be the guy to take the belt off of Roman. That should be the guy. Because so far, he's the most well-protected guy in the company. He hasn't lost a single fucking match. And he's over as fuck. And then he went and he did that match with Rollins with one torn pectoral muscle. He's the guy. It should be Sami and Kevin who should take the tag titles off of the Usos. That's it. And I would also like to see if they're going to do a match between Rock and Roman. I'd love to see like Solo Sikoa be like the inside man for The Rock and some shit like that and further just destroy the bloodline. But who knows? Who knows? But I'm telling you right now, the stuff with Roman and the bloodline, I mean, how long did it take? How long was it since Roman made his solo debut when the Shield broke up? It took this fucking long. All you had to do was make the guy heel. The amount of time they wasted with him as a face just fucking doing useless shit. Oh my God. But Roman made it. He's finally the guy. He's finally the person that everyone cheers for. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think they know what to do with him without a belt. They have tied his... The problem I have with Roman's gimmick is that his gimmick is directly tied with the belts. Like, that's his thing. That's his claim to fame. Like, the reason why he claims to be head of the table is because he's the guy. He's the undisputed champ. He's got all the belts. What happens to Roman when he doesn't have a belt? This is what I worry about. Like, what happens to Roman when he doesn't have a belt? What does he do next? Do they turn him face? Do they keep him heel? Are they going to have him go chasing for the belt? Are they going to have him in some sort of feud with somebody else? I don't know. Does he start feuding with all the individual members of the bloodline? I don't know. Also, I think, like, you know, when Roman loses the belt, I mean, like, I feel like you might have to take him off of... Not Atlantis, Doom! It's not Aquaman! It's not getting over! It sucks! Stop it! When Roman loses the belt, I mean, honestly, like, maybe they take him off of TV for a while. But granted, he's barely on TV now. But, I mean, they gotta do something. I just don't know what. So, anywho, Ariel Helwani comes out, says that the interview that he had with TK was one of the most difficult and frustrating of his career. I mean, to be quite honest, TK gave up nothing, man. He gave up fucking nothing in that interview. The only things that he talked about was promoting shows, but otherwise, no real answers. And to be quite honest, that's been his shtick on every interview show that he goes on. He goes on Barstool, he doesn't comment on anything. He goes on Sky News, doesn't comment on anything. Goes on The Observer, doesn't comment on anything. All it is promoting the next show. Now, mind you, there's definitely some probably potential serious legal ramifications going on with whatever happened backstage. But I don't think that should disqualify him from, like, saying, like, how he feels. Like, isn't it fair to ask, like, how he felt on the matter? Isn't it fair for him to say, hey, listen, I'm disgusted about what happened. I had my AVPs and my top stars get into a fucking pissing contest on one of the biggest nights of the company. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. Doesn't say anything. I want to hear that shit. I want to hear that from the guy running the show. You know what I mean? It's insane. I just want a little bit more. And this is the problem I'm having with AEW right now. I feel like a lot of things, a lot of things that they do only worked well because Vince was still in charge. As long as Vince was in charge with WWE, nobody in their right mind could, there are people who love that product and that's fine. But, like, no one in their right mind could actually logically defend what they did on television on a week-in, week-out basis. You could talk to the most, like, stout WWE fans, and after a certain point in time, it's not excusable. What they did with the Hurt Business, what they did with the call-ups from NXT, guys like Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, Retribution, we still don't have a Dominik Dijakovic yet. Where the fuck is he? You know what I mean? Like, guys that them firing Bray Wyatt, unexcusable shit. And the only thing that was, and that was one of the appeals to AEW. Because, number one, they poked fun at the fucking stupidity that was going on in WWE. And number two, in comparison, they almost could do no wrong. It literally got to the point where the only thing that could have stopped AEW was AEW. And that's exactly what happened. They started self-imploding on themselves. Another thing, I think one of the worst things to ever happen to AEW was Vince McMahon leaving WWE. Why? Because that stigma is gone. The big bad wolf is gone. That dumb schmuck, that stupid motherfucker, Vince McMahon, who's been ruining the product for the last 20 goddamn years, he's fucking gone. So all this sports entertainer versus pro wrestler, it doesn't matter. The other show's saying wrestler now. The joke doesn't land. It's not funny anymore. You know? I used to think it was cool that the fact that you got to see all these different belts on AEW. National recognition for other promotions. Now it's like, what's the point? You know how many belts we saw tonight? Sheeta had a belt. Joe had a belt. Wardlow had a belt. FTR had 3 belts. Jericho had a belt. Pac had 2 belts. What are these? These belts are meaning less and less and less. There's not enough TV time to make things that should be important. Now everything's getting watered down. The honeymoon period is over. The things that worked well once and twice are fine, but now it's becoming old hat. Something needs to happen with AEW. They need to start getting more television time. They need to start figuring out what to do with ROH. They need to start putting emphasis on building contenders for these belts. Because what's happening is these guys win these belts and then they do nothing. They do nothing. They don't fight anyone of substance at all. The TNT champ, yeah, he's the workhorse champ. I feel like the TNT champ and the TV champ and the TBS champ, they're the only champs that could get away with just having matches every week. But you got to start having matches building up like big fish for the AEW champ, for the AEW tag champs, for the big belts. I think it's a testament to FTR that they have 3 belts. They're really not doing much with them on television, but every single time these guys come out, they get one of the biggest pops of the night. And to be quite honest, what does that say about your AEW tag champs? They're also getting the biggest pop of the night. When is this going to happen? When are the Acclaimed going to fight FTR? When is FTR going to start losing belts? When are FTR going to start getting contenders that are worthwhile? You could tell that they're starting to build up the gates of agony, but what the fuck are they doing? You know, last week was one of the first weeks I didn't even bother to watch Battle of the Belts or Rampage. I'm like, why? None of these matches mean anything. The outcomes, if you're a wrestling fan and you pay attention, they're even more pre-decided than when wrestling already gives. Why? They didn't build any worthwhile contenders. There was nothing worthwhile happening on that show. So I didn't bother watching it. I had better things to do. Like watch the fucking Mets meltdown! This is what I don't get, you know? But hey, you know, I mean, something's got to give. Something is, and shockingly enough, AEW still managed to maintain that over 1 million rating that they try and keep so much. But if you look at the ratings for Battle of the Belts and Rampage, they were hot garbage. Now, I've said this multiple times, and I will reiterate this fact once again. Friday night, at 10 p.m., I don't care what show you are, short of fucking porn, no one's fucking watching television at 10 p.m. on a Friday night. That is the most hardcore of the hardcore, the most boring of the boring. All right? The second I had something slightly more interesting to watch on Friday, I looked at that card, I'm like, I'm going to watch the Mets. I think playoff baseball, shut the fuck up, Doom. Shut your goddamn mouth. I just didn't care. Did I watch Extreme Rules? Fuck yeah, I did. I honestly think Cross should have beat Drew clean. You got to start. Listen, him losing to Cross is not a bad thing, especially and it technically wasn't a clean match. It was a strap match. Why did they have to go with the mace from Scarlett for Drew to win? You know what I mean? You have to start putting over other guys that could be main event contenders. Cross has got the look. Sure, he may not be the most thrilling wrestler, but his character is amazing. You could do something with that. He should have fucking beat Drew. Clean. For as clean as a strap match could be. But no, they couldn't pull the trigger. That's the problem I have with WWE a lot of the times. They are too afraid to pull the trigger and have guys have clean wins over other established guys. You have to do that sometime. It has to happen. You have to build up other guys. Otherwise, what the fuck is going on with your title picture? It's just a handful of guys who are protected, and then it's just bullshit wins for the rest of them. How the fuck did that work out with Liv Morgan? Did that work out very well? No. They gave her a bullshit victory. They kept on giving her bullshit victories. Then they had her hide behind an Extreme Rules match where she chased a bat around the entire time. And because it made her look like she knew she couldn't defeat Ronda. And what the fuck happened? She couldn't defeat Ronda anyways. She's a waste of a champion. It was a shit championship reign. She should be put on NXT. That's where she belongs. Not on the main roster. She was a horrible champion. Horrible. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Anywho, let's talk about Dynamite for tonight. Jesus. Oh, and Renee signed with AEW. We'll talk about that too. Okay, here we go. AEW making their international debut. Doing tonight's show from Toronto, Canada. One of the headlining matches of the night, Jericho versus Danielson, Part 3 for the Ring of Honor World title. The All-Atlantic title also on the line. Pac defending against Orange Cassidy. Pac has held on to the belt since they debuted it back in June. Jungle Boy takes on Luchasaurus in a feud, in a grudge match. Interim AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm teams with Hikaru Shida against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Let me say something about Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter consistently gets some of the biggest pops in the women's division. Give her the fucking title. If Statlander's going to be gone for a year, they should have Jamie Hayter break apart from Britt, save that feud for another time, have her go after Jade Cargill, and be the woman to beat her. She's strong, she's tough, it would make sense for her to beat Jade. Jade's held onto the belt enough, she's compelling enough of a character that she could keep on doing what she's doing without the streak and without the belt. But Jamie Hayter needs to have some, I think it needs to be her time. I think at Full Gear is the time, either the time for her to break away from Britt. Because, like, how many times is she going to have these fights with Britt and nothing's going to happen? Like, enough is enough. Either they're going to set up an opportunity for Britt to win the belt again, and they're going to have Jamie Hayter screw her over, and that's how it's going to begin. Then I think she should beat Britt and then go on to start hunting a title immediately. That's the build. You have her beat one of the biggest names in their division. Then you have her go on a roll and start beating a whole bunch of other challengers, increasing in difficulty all the way up to the point where she's like, I'm challenging so-and-so for the belt. Maybe she challenges a Toni Storm. I don't think it's a good idea because I don't like having face versus face unless they're going to go and they're going to make it a whole mutual respect thing, and then that's going to be it. But, like, I would not have Toni Storm wrestle as a heel in that feud. No way. Protect them both as faces. Toni Storm is a good champion. Granted, they're not really doing shit for her title reign. She keeps on having all these tag matches. You could tell that they're just treading water, waiting for Thunder Rosa to come back. But then what's going to happen? She's going to beat Thunder Rosa, and then what? She's going to have more useless matches until you finally have someone beat her? Something's got to give. Something has got to give. Now, I'm trying to be as fair with AEW as possible because they've had a lot of fucking injuries and a lot of bullshit happening that's taking a lot of their people off of the roster, and they've had to make a lot of adjustments. We don't know what's going on with Andrade. He gets into a fucking slap fest with fucking Sammy Guevara. We don't know what's going on with CM Punk. We don't know apparently the rumor has it that CM Punk has an office job. I don't fucking believe that one bit. We haven't seen Omega. We haven't seen the Bucks. We haven't seen Adam Cole in a really long time. He's been injured really bad. There's Statlander's been gone. There's a lot of fucking important pieces of the AEW puzzle that have been missing. And I'm pretty sure they had a lot of plans that they were thinking of that all had to be derailed. And not for nothing, I think they're doing the best that they can with what they have. But the problem is they still have too much. They still have too many people and not enough television time. They need to get that straightened out. Now, they need to have ROH. I think ROH should be strictly on whatever streaming service they land on. More than likely, I would think they would land on HBO Max. I think it gives HBO Max an opportunity to fool around with live events. I don't think they've done that before. I don't know where you're going to find time to tape Ring of Honor episodes unless you do all of them strictly at the studio that they have in Florida, which they've been doing, I think, either the Dark or Dark Elevation shows. But, they don't have enough crowd time to do a Ring of Honor show. Or you know what? You do all the Dark and all the Elevation shows in Florida and have Ring of Honor be the opening act for Rampage for Dynamite. Because Rampage ends up being the closing act for Dynamite. And to be quite honest, it'll give fans a reason to show up early to the show if they're going to get a legit Ring of Honor show with legit Ring of Honor storylines and legit Ring of Honor matches. You know what I mean? But, if they're already having the crowd stay there for 4 hours, might as well, right? I mean, that whole thing at Grand Slam, that was like a 5-hour ordeal. 1 hour for the Dark matches, 2 hours for Dynamite, and another 2 hours for Rampage. That's a lot. So if you're going to have the normal crowd, obviously because the Grand Slam shows were extended shows, if you're going to have them at the show for 4 hours, do ROH in the beginning, Dynamite in the middle, Rampage at the end. And for the love of God, let's start taking Rampage seriously by actually booking serious matches and having serious shit. If I'm gonna look at a battle of the belts and I could look at it and think that no belts and no titles are being are changing hands, then I'm not gonna watch the show. You got to make it compelling enough for me to be like, damn, maybe I think they might actually do it. Just like how I thought at All Out, that it was very possible for the Acclaim to win the belts based on how the match was going, how the crowd was reacting. I'm like, shit, this might happen. That's the shit I'm talking about. No one tunes in for appointment television when they know exactly what's going to happen. It's the intrigue that brings them. They want to watch it live because they don't want something that they can't figure out themselves to be spoiled on the internet. So they make it appointment television. That's how you draw in a crowd. That's how you draw in viewership. You hold and dangle a little mystery in front of them. But the way that you book these challengers, it's plain and obvious that they're not going to fucking win. You can tell when legit challengers are being built up and when they're not. It's becoming completely obvious. And it needs to change. But they have too many wrestlers, too many belts, on not enough television programming. And you have all these belts and they're watered down. I'm not going to lie. In the beginning, I loved seeing all the belts because it was great to see stuff like the Ring of Honor belt, the IWGP belt, the AAA belts, Impact belts, all that stuff. I loved it. But now, it's like, what's the meaning of the belts? What's the importance? Why do I care? What's the hierarchy of these belts? You had the ROH World Championship take a side seat to AEW's All-Atlantic belt. So you had the top belt in ROH take a side seat to one of the mid-card belts in AEW. How am I supposed to feel about the Ring of Honor title? Even if Jericho's holding on to it and he's fighting against Danielson, how am I supposed to feel because that took a side seat to the main event, which was Pac and Orange Cassidy, who, granted, compared to Danielson and Jericho, are not in the same league in terms of fame and star power. So what am I supposed to think? Tony needs some extra bookers. He needs to start releasing people from their contracts and start freeing them up. Because to be quite honest, they are not, I don't think WWE is scrambling to hire all these guys. You know what I mean? I don't think they're they still, WWE has too much television. 3 hours of Raw is ridiculous. But if you know what, there's a chance that you could make each of those 3 hours compelling because you have enough fucking wrestlers that are out there and enough writers in that company that you should be able to write compelling storylines for everybody. I don't know what's going on. So I don't get it. Even fucking Uncle Dave is frustrated with the way that information is disseminated from AEW. I mean, he's a total complete boob. But the way that Tony handles his interviews, it's got to be a little bit better. People need to stop treating this guy with kid gloves and start asking the hard questions. And if he doesn't want to answer the hard questions, then he should stop doing media. And if he stops doing media, you know what that is? It's a bad look for Tony. So why don't you have him bury himself? Start asking the hard questions, Ariel. Start pushing him. What the fuck are you, what, you have this big platform? You got to, it's time to start swinging dick, bro. Aren't you the guy who went toe-to-toe with Dana White and he kicked you out and now you're still in the media scrums? Now he's got to swallow your shit? And you can't do that to Tony fucking Khan? Give me a fucking break, man. I mean, granted, Triple H is no better in his interviews. NXT is developmental. It's not developmental. It's our third brand. They're beating our developmental. You're not making any sense, bro. All right? You're not fooling me either. You guys tried to push NXT as a third brand. You were putting all behind it, gung-ho, da-da-da-da-da, and you got your asses fucking whooped because it was a shit show. And you booked it shitty. And you took all the things that made NXT great and you made it crap. Then Vince took it from you and shit on it some more. Now you want to go and you want to retcon everything and say it's developmental? Fuck you. You're not fooling me. God, I'm waiting for like 12 to 16 months from now when people start going, well, Triple H, yeah, all the luster wears off eventually, man. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the motherfucking club. Then everyone could start saying, we should start watching Impact. God. Unbelievable. Anywho, here we go. The rest of the card for tonight. Daddy Ass Billy Gunn fights Swerve Strickland in singles competition. Wardlow and Samoa Joe announced for action for tonight. They ended up fighting the Factory. MJF promo. The debut of Renee Paquette. So we have AEW Dynamite opens up. They introduced Renee Paquette, a Canadian, big hometown pop for Renee. She introduces Christian Cage, who's from Toronto. Shits on the Maple Leafs and introduces Luchasaurus. Now they're starting to introduce Jungle Boy as Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So I'm assuming they're now trying to transition him away from this Jungle Boy gimmick and try and make him a little bit more serious. Good. They should. But God, I don't like Luchasaurus. Just fucking bores me. I mean, this definitely was one of the. What do you mean, Quincy? We're talking about Bleach? We want one of those guys to win the belt? Doom's bugging out in the chat right now. So this might have been one of the more entertaining Luchasaurus matches. I mean, granted he won, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this whole Luchasaurus Jungle Boy storyline. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what it seems like to me? They're just treading water until Christian Cage gets healthy. It was like they had this storyline all planned out, and then Christian had to go through surgery. So it's just like, I don't know. Like, it's got to go somewhere, in my opinion. Renee Paquette is backstage with Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway of the Firm. They inform Matt Hardy and Private Party that they actually purchased the contracts of Private Party from Jose the Assistant, and now they are part of the Firm. So Page challenges Isaiah Cassidy on Rampage, and if Cassidy wins, Private Party is no longer obligated to be a part of the Firm. But if they lose, Matt Hardy becomes a part of the Firm as well. So, okay. Wardlow and Samoa Joe take on Nick Comoroto and QT Marshall. I hate the fucking name Ward Joe. I hate it. I hate that, like, when you put two people's names together, it's fucking stupid. This is like when people used to ship things back in the day. It's dumb. They're two grown-ass monster adult men and have some lame-ass name called Ward Joe. Why don't they just call them Wardlow and Samoa Joe? Enough with this bullshit. And I actually thought it was funny that Mark Sterling actually mocked that fact. And he was well deserved. Obviously, the good guys won. They destroyed everybody. You have... They get... Right before they could get the Powerbomb Symphony going on QT Marshall, Prince Nana interrupts with the charisma vacuum known as Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. And so now, like, then of course that immediately brings out FTR, who gets a huge pop. And now they're like, oh, well, we got another Pinnacle guy coming in, and Shawn Spears makes a return, and now he's a babyface. He's also a Toronto guy. I mean, okay, what the fuck are they supposed to do with Shawn Spears? What the hell are they going to be? What the hell are they doing with Wardlow? What the heck are they doing with Samoa Joe? Why is FTR involved? What's going on with what the heck are they called? What's the name of Prince Nana's group? I don't even know what they're called. I don't even know. Someone in the chat tell me, because I forgot. It's definitely not the Firm. It's something else. I don't even fucking know. But, like, you know, Shawn Spears is your big return. Shawn Spears really should be released. They're not really doing anything with him. And he's not really, it's not like people have been like, yo, where's Shawn Spears, man? We gotta have him back. Yeah, no, Gates of Agony is the tag team, but what's the name of Prince Nana's stable? With Brian Cage. It's something. No, it's not the collective. It's something. It's not the leg. I don't know, but there's a name to it, Doom. You got to find it. Sorry, I've been training for a new job that I got, and it's early in the morning, which makes these later recordings a little bit tough. So I apologize for the yawning. Backstage, Shivani's with Chris Jericho and 2.0, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. Talk about the main event. They acted all butthurt because Daniel Garcia left them and isn't returning their calls, and they had to beat the shit out of him last week. But he says tonight isn't about cheating. He's all about the Lionheart. He's going to honor the Ocho, blah, blah, blah. So obviously Chris is going to continue to... No, man, it's not just the Gates of Agony featuring Brian Cage. Prince Nana has a name for the stable. Apparently Chris is going to make the majority of his Ring of Honor run as a cheating champion. He's going to be the most dishonorable champion of Ring of Honor. So he's not going to, apparently, they're just not going to have him win clean. So either A, what does this mean? I don't know. And the ending of tonight's show made that even more confusing. It's not the House of Truth. Jesus. Chat's killing me tonight. Swerve Strickland and Billy Gunn, the Acclaimed, come out, do an awesome rap. Crowd, they're still super over. They basically booked a match with Billy Gunn using his size, Swerve using his agility. Eventually, Swerve gets a roll-up, grabs the ropes to steal the win, so, turnabout's fair play. It was Billy Gunn that interfered in the title match, which caused Swerve to lose the tag belts with Keith Lee. So it makes sense for Swerve to cheat to win for this as payback. I'm assuming this will eventually end up leading to another match between the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. I do think that Wikipedia is goddamn wrong. All right, it's not the House of Truth. I could only assume that this is going to lead to a cage match, being that both teams seem to want to cheat and want to use interference. What's the best way to stop interference in a feud? Put him in a fucking cage. Now they're saying that Mark Sterling is saying that the Acclaimed can't do the scissoring gimmick because it belongs to him and he's going to sue. So now you're taking the one thing that make the Acclaimed over because Mark Sterling apparently has paperwork saying that they can't do it anymore. I think it's stupid. That's a dumb storyline. Why can't you just leave well enough alone? Get Mark's I'm assuming, didn't they already beat Tony Nese and the fuck is that guy's name? Josh Woods. Didn't they already beat them already? So what is going on? Enough. Get Mark Sterling out of this feud. Stop him from interfering with the scissoring gimmick. It's the most over thing they have. They should be focusing on a final in the trilogy between the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. Swerve in Our Glory won the first one at All Out. Acclaim won the second one at Grand Slam. The third one should be at Full Gear in a cage match. It makes sense. Alex Marvez is backstage with MJF. I don't get the whole thing with MJF wanting to almost shaking hands with Yuta. MJF is a heel. He should be a heel. And it's just weird when now you're trying to make him like a tweener. Now he's going to start shaking hands with people. I do like the fact that he's giving Stokely Hathaway shit. And he said he dressed like a, he said he was a Carlton Banks looking wannabe. So I thought that was interesting. But I don't get it. Now you're going to have what? Now I could only assume what is the firm going to screw MJF at a certain point in time? When MJF wins the belt, is he going to be feuding with the firm? I don't get it. I don't understand. So I don't know what's going on with MJF. I'm assuming he's going to eventually win the title. I don't know whether or not he's going to cash it in or actually call out a match. Cashing it in would be a really heel move, but people would love it anyways because they love MJF. He's one of the most over people, if not the most over person in the singular over person in the company. Or you could have him plan out a match. You could do that too. So yeah, he's like, listen, most of the locker room wants him dead. He has no choice to be the bad guy. If you don't like it, tough shit. And he's going to be AEW World Champion, and he's a generational talent. So, okay. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, promoting next Tuesday. Yes, Dynamite will be on a Tuesday, so we will be shifting next week's episode to Tuesday night. Talks about the world title match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Excalibur informs us that on February 24th, 1968, Jimi Hendrix actually closed out his show with Wild Thing in that same building, which is interesting because obviously that's Mox's theme. Mox says, after 3 years, it's damn good to be back in Toronto. He says, you always have a target on your back as a world champ. Most crumble under the pressure, some faster than others. Punk. Moxley said it's a job that requires you to be ruthless, and that's what he loves about this job. He mentions Hangman. Hangman's music hits. Again, he's wearing ridiculous fucking jeans. He wants to talk about being a man, but he dresses like a fucking child. Stop dressing like a goddamn idiot. I'm sick of it. Just wear regular clothes. It was also when he was a cowboy. He just wore a cowboy shirt, cowboy jeans, and a hat. Walked with some cowboy swagger. Paige said what Moxley said last week meant the world to him as he put him over as a person. Didn't really put him over as a wrestler. Puts over Moxley as a great champ, a great father, and a great husband. MJF is in the stands. I wouldn't have put MJF in the stands during this promo. It took away from what should have been the most important thing, which is the two guys in the title match. Because after a certain point, they were chanting MJF, and I felt like it took away from what Hangman was doing in the ring. I don't think MJF should have been out there. Paige pretty much ignores MJF. Asks if Moxley views him as a kid. Moxley agreed. He does view him as a kid. He said he doesn't view Paige as the same guy who knocked him off a ladder a year ago. That was what gave Paige his AEW title shot, which led to him winning and beating Kenny at last year's Full Gear. He thinks Paige doesn't have the guts to pull the trigger and do what it takes. Paige grabs the mic and says he's not the same guy. That he hesitated the last time. He said he went for the trios title with his best friends. They lost every week. Another one of them disappears. He said his old friends have disappeared, obviously hinting at Omega and the Bucks. He says, and this is the shit that I don't want to hear from my champion, that he's anxious and depressed. I don't want to hear that. That's stuff that you save for like behind the scenes interviews where you get to show a little bit about yourself. But when you're trying to cut a promo about how you're being a man, I don't want to hear about how scared you are. I don't want to hear about how depressed you are. I don't want to hear about how anxious you are. I don't want to hear about how the world champion's words meant so much to me. You got to go in there. You want to know why I respect Mox as a champ? Because this guy comes for blood every single night. And I feel like if you're going to come out being, I'm a man, this is cowboy shit, you need to come out with that same bravery, that same ruthlessness, that same swagger, all that shit. All right? I get that they want their characters to be a little bit more real and open, but there's got to be some protecting of the character. All right? I don't want to hear about Hangman being anxious and depressed and how he's taking meds and it's not working and blah, blah, blah. I do like the part where he said that even throughout all that, he still shows up. He tried to pull a Mick Foley. I think he tried to bust himself open the hard way. That shit didn't happen. All he did was give himself a freaking bruise on the side of his face. Continuously yelling, I'm a man, hitting himself. It just didn't hit. It didn't resonate with me. Paige says he's going to take his shot. All he's got is his shot and his word. Next week, he's going to take his shot. This week, he's going to give you his word. He's going to be leaving Cincinnati as the AEW champ. Even though I had some gripes with the promo, pretty solid. It should be a great match. I don't expect Hangman to win. I expect Moxley to win. I would have liked if Hangman was coming off of more impressive wins instead of losses for the trios belt and stuff like that, but you know, what are you going to do? And during the entire promo with Paige all getting pumped, they're still chanting for MJF. That's why I don't think he should have been out there. If the crowd was going to chant his name and MJF wasn't going to be out there, then I feel like that would have been more of a referendum on Hangman than it is MJF. But you put MJF out there, it's a distraction. The focus should have been on the two guys in the ring. We all know that MJF has the briefcase. You could have had him watch throughout the entire match in Cincinnati, and it would have still had the same effect. We haven't forgotten about MJF. He already had his camera time. We already know he's a poker chip winner. There's no need for us to oversaturate the television with MJF at the expense of two guys trying to build a title match. I'm sorry. I would have done that differently. Yeah, exactly, Doom. This has definitely been a critical flaw of Hangman. They put him over, and, you know, his fans put him over, but then he says stuff that doesn't make me want to believe in him, because it doesn't sound like he believes in himself. Even after he won the belt, he's like, I don't deserve any credit. Like, come on, man. Come on. Show me a little chutzpah. You know what I mean? Chris Jericho defeats Bryan Danielson to retain the Ring of Honor World title. I don't know what the fuck's going on, man. They had Jericho cheat, right? Or at least attempt to cheat. Daniel Garcia comes out, prevents Jericho from cheating. Daniel Garcia sees Danielson try and take advantage. I'm assuming just considers that cheating, and lays out Danielson also. Then he goes and sides with Jericho at the end. I don't get it. Now, either A, this is going to be some long build to Danielson finally winning the ROH title and restoring honor to the belt because Chris is being dishonorable and a douchebag. Or, I don't know. But, I just don't think you need to have Danielson lose a third fucking... Actually, has he beaten him at all? I don't know, but, I just don't think we needed to have Danielson lose. They could have had anybody else fight him. And you could have built up Danielson fighting to a third match to where he actually wins. Now you have a blow-off of a trilogy match when Danielson loses. I didn't think that was a great idea. Renee Paquette is backstage with Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir and Vicky Guerrero. Nyla stole the belt from Jade Cargill after her match at Battle of the Belts. So now she's running around with the title. I think it's stupid. I like people running around with belts that they stole. I just think it's dumb. It's childish. You know what I mean? Now she's saying that she's the TBS champ. Dumb. Then Anna JAS, dumb, comes out and she wants to challenge Rose so that when she beats her, she could take the belt and walk around and show people what kind of champion she is. Nyla isn't the champion. Taking a belt and then beating someone who took a belt doesn't make you a champion either. Get rid of Anna J. It's been 3 years. Her character hasn't progressed at all. She went from a magician to a Dark Order sidekick to now trying to be a semi-pseudo comedy relief with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Then they change her name to something stupid like Anna JAS. It's just as dumb as Nikki ASH. It's a stupid name, and it's a dumb character. I'm sure she's a sweet person in real life. She seems like an absolute doll when she actually shows her regular personality online, but her character is trash, and her in-ring work needs work. So either you relegate her to Dark and Elevation continuously, and you just have someone in every stable represent the stable in the dark matches, or get rid of her. Sorry. There's plenty of opportunity for her to make a living and a career elsewhere. I'm pretty sure of that. I do not think Anna Jay will ever be destitute. She's a gorgeous woman. There's tons of shit that she could do, but I don't want her in acting, and I don't want her in a professional wrestling. Period. She could model and make a great amount of money. Easy. Interim World Champion Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida defeat Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Crowd, bigger pop for Hayter than any of the other women on the show. They need to capitalize on that, and they need to capitalize on it now. We need to start putting worthwhile champions. That's why the show ended the way that it did. That's why Mox is champ. That's why Jericho is champ. They're trying to put big name faces out there to be champions. But to be quite honest, if you're going to book shit contenders, or you're going to have shit endings of matches like you did tonight with the ROH belt, it's devaluing their star power and devaluing the belts that they hold. and devaluing the divisions that those belts represent. Something needs to change. They had a match and Sheeta pinned Britt Baker at the end. Didn't lead to anything. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. Didn't progress anybody's storylines. It's just a match that occurred. Rampage. Card is shaping up. Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli fight the Butcher and the Blade. Definitely a must-see match. And that's it. There was only really one match that they had introduced at that point in the show, which is interesting because usually they have Excalibur spit out an entire whatever. Let's see. Now let's scroll down and see if I have any more matches. Ethan Page versus Isaiah Cassidy. They had mentioned that earlier in the show. Nyla Rose versus Anna Jas. They had mentioned that earlier in the show. And now they're booking FTR and Shawn Spears versus Brian Cage in the Gates of Agony. Okay. None of these matches matter. Why would I want to watch Rampage? Dynamite, the big draw for Tuesday, is Mox versus Adam Page for the belt. Oh, and Toni Storm is actually going to defend the interim belt against Hikaru Shida. That should be a good match. I don't expect Shida to win. I guess they're using Shida's tag team victories as the reason why she should be a championship contender. So is this what's going to happen? Like, that's what they're going to use to elevate people to championship status. You're going to have them team up with the champ, have them win a couple of matches with the champ, then challenge the champ. I think they could do better. Orange Cassidy finally wins gold tonight, defeating Pac to win the All-Atlantic title. It was about time. Based on the way that they were booking it, you could kind of see it a mile away. This was the kind of build that I wanted because Orange Cassidy was putting up pretty impressive victories. He had some great matches at All Out and Forbidden Door. He has great matches every week, whether it's Dynamite or Rampage. They built up the character. He already had a fan base. Everyone was waiting for him to win a belt. This is a good belt for him to win. Why? Because this belt is an ambassador belt. This is the belt that goes around to the indies and they challenge it against whatever worthwhile names are in whatever indie promotion. And to be quite honest, Orange Cassidy is a better ambassador of AEW than Pac is. Pac is a great wrestler, sure, but I think Orange Cassidy is way more popular. He's got way more star power. He's almost, I don't want to say he's a more compelling character, but he's definitely a more fun character than the bastard Pac. So he was a natural choice for a guy who's going to be winning a travel belt. Orange Cassidy does win, and I thought it was a great match. Orange Cassidy won. They had orange confetti. The best friends came out and did the hug. I thought it was great. Oh, shit. Oh, never mind. We're back. So, yeah. That pretty much... The crowd was hot all night. It was the first time Toronto got an AEW show. This was the time to pull off some amazing stuff. This was the time to bring out people who got big crowd pops, and that's what they did. They brought out the Acclaimed. They brought out MGF. They brought out Orange Cassidy. They brought out Jericho and Danielson, and they had Christian, and they had Renee Paquette. Like, they had all their big names out there. That's what you're supposed to do. Whether or not this translates into a rating, I don't know, but you want to have a hype crowd for your shows because it makes for good clips online. It makes people who have missed the show kind of look and be like, ooh, I feel like I might have missed something there. Yeah, so I don't really know. That's it for AEW. I'm really not sure where they're going to be going forward. What's this? Don't let him complimenting her hide the fact that he basically sent this woman to the unemployment line verbally. Who is that? Oh, me? Me complaining and sending her to the unemployment line verbally? Yeah. My bad. Yeah. I complimented, but I just don't like, if, like, my whole one of my biggest problems with AEW is they have too many wrestlers. So if I think someone isn't compelling enough on television and they're not must-see TV and they don't want to make me keep my eyeballs glued to the screen, then Why are they on my television? Why are they in AEW? Get rid of them. Like, you need to start trimming the fat, and no one's going to be clamoring over Anna Jay. Maybe they might sign her for AEW, and they might repackage her. NXT, and do that. But, like, the big problem is there's still no indies. ROH was the indies. They're gone. Impact, I guess, is the indies now. GCW, crap. CZW, crap. New Japan, you really want to learn. You really want to be a wrestler if you want to go to New Japan and try and win over, like, the hardcore AEW crowd. If you want to go to New Japan. But, like, if that's the route you're going to take to being a star, take it. Otherwise, it's like WWE or bust right now. There's no UK wrestling scene. No one's going to Mexico. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I also wonder if Daniel Garcia is eventually going to be the guy to dethrone Jericho. Is it going to be something where they're going to have the Jericho Appreciation Society basically somehow screw over Garcia for siding with Danielson in the brief moment that he did and screw him out of the Pure title? It's a possibility. Then you have Daniel Garcia win the Ring of Honor title and he brings the honor back to the title. That's possible. Jericho could take the loss. He's Chris Jericho. Garcia could use the win. He's Garcia. I mean, granted, even though he's beaten Danielson, he didn't beat him clean, but he beat him. So I don't know, guys. I do not know. All I know is we're out of time for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Those who are watching live, I appreciate it. Doom in the chat, thank you very much for watching and participating. Next week, Tuesday show, we'll be recording again at 10 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday after Dynamite, going over what happened in the week of wrestling and recapping Dynamite from that show. But I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Have a great night, and I will see you on Tuesday. Take care.